Alex Otters, go ahead.
Lima Yankee Bravo Alpha Juliet, good afternoon. Position hangar requesting taxi to the active runway for VFR circuit.
Lima Yankee Bravo Alpha Juliet, runway news 27. Taxi to holding point via taxiway Charlie.
Taxi to holding point runway 27 via Charlie Lima Alpha Juliet. Hello guys, I am back with you. Currently sitting in the Tecnam B2002 Juliet Foxtrot, heading to the holding point of runway 27 in Alex Otters. I'll try to perform Euro traffic circuit. I'll show you how we do it every day. And how I hope you'll do. So during the taxi I'm holding the controls so as to avoid any unnecessary movements by the flying controls. I'm also constantly checking at all parameters, the engines and all of our flight instruments, so as to have positive indications, and also to make sure that we are allowed to take off. That means that we have enough oil temperature. It is currently approximately 80 degrees centigrade, just enough for departure. Now approaching the holding point, I will stop here, select RPM 1100 and apply the parking brakes. I'll grab my checklist before takeoff and I'll try to do it. Check that the fuel quantity is okay, that our fuel selector is in a good position, which is currently the left tank, that our engine instruments are all positive, generator light is out, suction indicator is in the green, that the trim is set for takeoff, just like that. And now I will do the magneto check. I'll apply the power to 1560 approximately. Right about here, and we'll turn to the right unit. They have a good drop of maybe 40 RPM. That is absolutely acceptable. We go back to both magnetos, and now we check the left one. A good drop as well. Go back to both. Go back to the usual 1100 RPM, which we use for normal holding or I don't know. And then we check that our carburetor heat is off. Put on the electrical fuel pump, set the flaps to a takeoff position of 15 degrees. And the lighting light on. Transponder set to altitude so that ATC get a good readout of our altitude and of course our position. Check that there is no traffic on the final. Check the windsock, which is showing approximately 270. That will be a very good headwind. And next thing I'll do, I'll call the ATC for clearance. Lima Alpha Juliet, request lineup.
Lima Alpha Juliet, wind 270 degrees, 12 knots, line up runway 27.
Line up runway 27, Lima Alpha Juliet. Releasing the brakes. Clear right, clear left, and we'll line up with the runway. I'm avoiding the areas which might be a little bit bumpy. You check the flight controls one last time. They are now lined up. Set the power to the usual 1100. I will lift the nose a little bit up so that we don't damage the nose wheel. And 46. We are in the air. I'll maintain an approximate speed of 60 to 70 knots for our climb. And we'll try to maintain runway heading. 300 feet above the ground. I can now select the flaps to up. Flaps up.
Альфа Папа, Александр Слободяна.
Альфа Папа, до ангару следите по рентгену на коммерсе с крыльем ротом.
500 feet turn left.
Альфа Папа, редикит редимо такели Чарли, паренька мы тако до септине.
Такели Чарли, тако до септине, Альфа Папа.
I'll turn to an approximate heading of 180 degrees. That's 90 degrees to our runway. To complete a full rectangular circuit. At 900 feet, we acquire that out. At 900 feet, we catch the altitude. Set the cruise power of about 1,800 RPM and turn off the fuel pump and turn off the landing light, which we don't need at this stage of the flight. I always keep a look on the runway just to know the correct position at all times. Okay, having reached another landmark, I am now turning left to a heading of approximately 090. That will be parallel to the runway. The speed throughout the circuit is approximately 70 to 85 knots, sometimes reaching even 90. Again, checking the runway that we see. And having passed a beam the runway, I am now reducing the power. We'll start slowing down, maintaining the height of 900 feet. Trimming the aircraft a little bit. And as speed drops below 68 knots, that is below our flap extension speed, maximum flap extension speed, I can now put out some flaps. Let's say to takeoff position. As I did that, I'll select the fuel pump on, the landing light on, and everything is clear on the base. We can turn left. Lima Alpha Juliet, turning left base, runway 27.
Lima Alpha Juliet, continue approach, report on final runway 27.
Lima Alpha Juliet. I've notified the ATC of our position, and now I will descend to approximately 600 feet so as not to overshoot the runway. Also, one thing to notice about the flaps, we can have the flaps extended to takeoff position up until 99 knots of speed, but we shouldn't be extracting them or retracting them above 68 knots. And above 60 knots we shouldn't have any landing flaps extended. Okay, so now we're at about 600 feet. Right is clear, the final is clear. I'm commencing the turn. Visually I see that my angle to the runway is almost correct. So I will report to ATC and start descending. Lima Alpha Juliet on final runway 27 for full stop landing.
Lima Alpha Juliet, wind 27 degrees, 12 knots, landing at your discretion, runway 27.
Clear land runway 27, Lima Alpha Juliet. Okay. As the ATC was talking to me, I extended the flaps to almost full. Almost full because we have some quite strong wind going on. And and we don't need the whole lift of the flaps, because what we get from the drag is much more affecting our performance. Okay, I rechecked that the parking brake is off, that the landing light fuel pumps are on, and we have the clearance. So for the approach, I'm maintaining approximately 55-60 knots, and as we have cleared all the obstacles, I might even reduce the speed a little bit more to 50 knots. Okay, apply a little bit of power so as to fly a little bit further, and now idle. And touchdown. As we have touched the ground, I am trying to maintain the nose up attitude and reducing the flaps back to 0. We don't need any more lift, and we don't want...
Locate runway via taxiway Bravo to the apron.
Locating web, Bravo taxi to the apron, Lima for Juliet. Okay, a gentle touch on the brakes. We are now at 20 knots, the nose drops. You want it or not. 10 knots and vacating the runway. I can now select the fuel pump off, landing light off, and report that I'm off the runway. Lima for Juliet located. There you have it. Thank you very much for joining me, and see you soon.